This is Nightline, and I'm Raymond Go. News making the headlines. Malaysia to launch more VTLs before Hari Raya. And Ukraine claims Russia violated ceasefire agreement. Good morning. The government will extend the vaccinated travel lane VTL to more countries by May, ahead of the Hari Raya Aidilfitri celebrations. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this would add to the existing VTL facility with Singapore and the one still under planning with Indonesia.
Selain daripada Singapura dan Indonesia, kerajaan dalam proses melaksanakan VTL darat dengan Brunei dan Thailand dan dengan pembukaan semula sempadan ahli keluarga Malaysia yang sudah lama tak bersua muka dapat pulang terutamanya semasa Hari Raya pada bulan Mei nanti.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri revealed the matter when confirming the country's borders will be reopened soon in a speech at the launching of the Jelajah Aspirasi Keluarga Malaysia AKM at Dataran Angsana in Johor Bahru on Saturday. Apart from facilitating the reunion of families separated by the COVID-19 pandemic, the VTL can also help to rejuvenate economic activities and tourism in Malaysia. Malaysia's VTL scheme with Singapore has been implemented since November 29th, allowing quarantine-free travel by air and land between both countries, while the VTL arrangement with Indonesia will begin once both sides have resolved several technical issues, including recognizing the digital vaccination certificate and standardization of the RT-PCR COVID-19 test of both countries. In related news, Malaysia's air vaccinated travel lane VTL program with Cambodia and Thailand will begin on March 15th. Transport Minister Datuk Seri Wee Ka Siong said fully vaccinated travellers would be allowed to enter the two countries without being required to undergo quarantine upon arrival. He added that this was part of Malaysia's joint efforts with these countries to reopen international borders. For Thailand, Datuk Seri Wee said that both countries had agreed to allocate up to 6 flights daily on the Kuala Lumpur-Bangkok route and up to 4 flights per day for the Kuala Lumpur-Phuket route. Meanwhile, for Cambodia, only 2 flights are allowed per day on the Kuala Lumpur-Phnom Penh route. However, additional routes may be added provided both countries agree to the new flights. The government will announce the date for Malaysia's border reopening next week. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the cabinet had given the nod to reopen the nation's borders in a meeting held this week.
InsyaAllah kalau tiada arah melintang, PM akan umum tarikh tersebut. Pengumuman lah, dia akan umum tarikh tersebut. Pengumuman itu adalah minggu depan.
Khairi also said the announcement is crucial to allow some time for relevant businesses under the travel and tourism industry to prepare for the reopening. This, he added, includes the airlines, immigration department, hotels and others involved in the tourism and travel industry. Meanwhile, the Health Minister said Malaysia is expected to receive its first shipment of the COVID-19 oral antiviral treatment Paxlovid by Pfizer in the next 2 weeks. According to Khairi, for the first phase of the procurement, the country had purchased 110,000 patient courses to be given to high-risk individuals.
Dan kalau kita dapati bahawa penggunaan ubat ini berkesan seperti mana maklumat yang kita telah terima, kita akan tambahlah pembelian ubat ini Paxlovid daripada Pfizer. Ada 2 lagi yang mungkin kita akan beli, Molnupiravir dan juga satu lagi daripada AZ. Tapi itu belum lagi kita muktamad, tapi yang muktamad adalah yang Paxlovid tu daripada Pfizer.
Khairi said this after launching the National Kidney Foundation NKF 16th Annual Dialysis Conference on Saturday. In his speech earlier, Khairi also suggested a new feature in the My Sejahtera application, which allows the public to pledge to become organ donors. He said the move was necessary with the increase in chronic kidney disease patients in the country, while the number of individuals who pledged to be organ donors was declining. He warned if the present trend continues, the number of chronic kidney patients is estimated to reach 106,000 in 2040, and this in turn will cost the country's healthcare system. The new school term and academic year for all schools nationwide will begin on March 21st. Senior Education Minister Dr. Razzie Jiddin said for primary schools with an enrolment of over 600 pupils, Year 3, 4 and 5 pupils could attend classes on a rotational basis. At a media conference on Saturday, Dr. Razzie said as for pupils with special needs in Sekolah Kebangsaan Pendidikan Khas and Integrated Special Education Program, as well as Year 1, 2 and 6 pupils and Supplementary Food Program recipients, they have to attend physical school sessions without rotation. All the regulations apply to private school students, including expatriate schools and international schools. As for schools with less than 600 pupils, he said the Education Ministry had stipulated that all public and private primary school pupils, including expatriate schools and international schools, with an overall enrollment of fewer than 600 students, were required to attend face-to-face classes without rotation. Students taking the Malaysia Vocational Certificate as well as the Malaysia Vocational Diploma were allowed to attend school without any rotation according to the designated study calendar. The Education Ministry, according to him, has set for the implementation of the COVID-19 screening for primary school pupils under the Health Ministry's COVID-19 testing strategy that is done by students at home with the guidance of parents or guardians in accordance with the guidelines provided.
Yang paling penting, apabila sekolah dibuka semula kelak, kami di KPM amat berharap ibu bapa, murid-murid, guru-guru serta seluruh warga pendidikan dapat bersama-sama memastikan bahawa segala SOP yang telah ditetapkan dapat dipatuhi dengan baik. Sama-samalah kita pastikan supaya sesi persekolahan ini akan dapat terus berlangsung dengan selamat dan teratur dan anak-anak kita akan terus dapat datang ke sekolah secara bersemuka seperti sebelum-sebelum ini.
Dr. Razzie added that Form 2, 3, 4 and 5 students from boarding schools as well as pre-university, international baccalaureate diploma program and international examination students would undergo home-based teaching and learning PDPR for 2 weeks before they attend face-to-face classes on a non-rotational basis starting April 4th. Johor Menteri Besar Dato' Hasni Mohamad has pointed out that a strong government can increase and maintain foreign investments in a state. He said the changes of Menteri Besar in Johor 3 times in just a short period has affected the confidence of foreign investors in boosting their investments in the state.
Do you know that in Johor, Azalia, that there are companies that is making component to complete a printer, for instance. When these companies are closed because of the SOP that was introduced, I was given an indication that if these manufacturing companies are not allowed to operate, the whole world will stop printing.
Speaking at an interview during TV3's flagship business program Money Matters on Saturday, Dato' Hasni said that Johor was one of the states that recorded the highest foreign investment in the country between 2013 and 2018. Previously, political analysts and economic experts have emphasized the importance of a stable government to attract foreign investments. Due to this, the stability of the state government, followed by measures to improve the manufacturing sector and digital adaptation, are very important and must be expedited to ensure a prosperous economy for Johor.
And the future
Meanwhile, Dato' Hasni also stressed that the new Johor government must not waste any more time on discussions and planning. Instead, everything that had been laid out for the development of the state must be executed immediately once the state election has concluded.
Immediately after the 12th of March, we are not going to waste any more time planning. We are not going to waste any more time in discussing what best to be done for the state, what we should be doing, but rather to immediately implement whatever has been planned.
He also highlighted the need for the state government to represent Johor as a whole.
Something that has to change immediately. You know, the government bench, 28 of us, all Malays, and the opposition side are basically Chinese. This is not Johor. This cannot happen to Johor. This is not how Johor should look like. The government of Johor has always been a government that is a reflection of what is the composition within the society within Johor. One needs to understand that anyone who is heading Johor must have a realistic vision of what Johor can and should be. So we here in Johor have dedicated an entire ikhtiar or initiative out of the 5 initiatives just to propel the state economy. We have to engage, we have to create a lot more collaboration with all these investors, with all these businesses, and to make sure that they will remain here in Johor.
Indeed.
So that will be our utmost important in having a stable government, so that we do not waste any more time in bringing back Johor into its expected position as far as the economy is concerned. From 2013 until 2018, received the highest foreign investment into Johor. We are either first in the country or we are second. If not, we are back as a first in the country again. I need to make sure that that remains. Now, in order to do that, it has to start with a strong and a stable government. Do you know that in Johor, Azalia, that there are companies that is making components to complete a printer, for instance? When these companies are closed because of the SOP that was introduced, I was given an indication that if these manufacturing companies are not allowed to operate, the whole world will stop printing. The first thing that I need to do is to make sure that we will propose that, number one, the anti-hopping law should be put in place. We feel that a redelineation of the constituency should take place. And having said that, I believe that one of the things that we should also pay attention is the what I say as the low-hanging fruits. You know, the best national government should be ready.
Prime Minister outlines directions in development of the country's landscape. This and more when Nightline returns. Welcome back to Nightline. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob outlined 4 directions that need to be given attention in the development of the country's landscape. The 4 directions, among others, involve efforts to streamline the country's landscape network system, with priority given to the expansion of the country's green infrastructure through a comprehensive landscape development program. The Prime Minister said this in his speech at the 2022 National Landscape Day celebration at Taman Bandar Eco Flora in Johor Bahru on Saturday.
Untuk menjadikan Malaysia negara taman terindah tentunya bukan mudah dicapai. Namun, ianya tidak mustahil untuk direalisasikan. Dalam tempoh 25 tahun ini, taman seluas 23,669.15 ekar telah dibangunkan di seluruh negara dan melalui kerjasama semua pihak, kualiti pembangunan lanskap yang indah dan damai telah bercampah.
With these proposed directions, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri expressed the hope that the country's landscape development in the next 25 years will be more advanced and offer superior landscape quality that could be enjoyed by future generations. Based on data, he said the number of visitors to the Bukit Kiara Federal Park recorded an increase of 287.1% in 2021 compared to the previous year. And this proves the importance of the park as the main recreational space for Keluarga Malaysia during the COVID-19 pandemic. The International Trade and Industry Ministry, MITI, is committed to ensuring that Malaysia can achieve a gross domestic product growth of 5.8% this year, as projected by the World Bank. Its Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali, said the projection is achievable with the support of the National Recovery Council, private sector, industries and business chambers. He said based on Bank Negara's statement, Malaysia's economy grew 3.6% in the fourth quarter of 2021, compared with a contraction of 4.5% in the preceding quarter. Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said the country recorded trade of over 2.2 trillion ringgit, while exports amounted to 1.24 trillion ringgit last year. He added Johor is one of the important states that contributed to the nation's GDP, and the industries and investors in the state want to see a strong government. Malaysia reported 33,209 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, the highest daily tally ever since the pandemic struck the nation 2 years ago. This has pushed the country's overall coronavirus cases so far to 3,561,766. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, in a statement on Saturday, said that 99.39% of the new infections are in categories 1 and 2, amounting to 33,006 cases. The remaining 0.61% comes from category 3 to 5, totaling 203 cases. 43 of the cases in category 3 to 5 are either unvaccinated or yet to complete their vaccination. 117 cases have completed their vaccination but without booster shots, while the remaining 43 cases have taken their booster shots. Meanwhile, 348 cases have been placed in the intensive care unit, ICU. Of the total ICU cases, 211 patients required ventilator support. 7 states also recorded ICU bed utilization of more than 50%, including in Putrajaya, which has the highest at 100% capacity, followed by Perlis and Selangor at 73% and 61% respectively. A total of 78 COVID-19 related fatalities, including 22 brought-in dead cases, were also reported on Friday, raising the nationwide death toll to 33,106. Still to come on Nightline, North Korea fires missile test ahead of South Korea's election. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. On to the foreign front now. What looked like a breakthrough ceasefire to evacuate residents from 2 cities in Ukraine quickly fell apart Saturday, as Ukrainian officials said shelling had halted the work to remove civilians. Russia said its forces stopped firing near Mariupol to allow safe passage to civilians, but Ukraine officials accused Russian troops of breaking the partial truce. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk said Russia breached the deal in Volnovakha as well. Earlier on Saturday, Russia declared a partial ceasefire to allow humanitarian corridors out of the Ukrainian cities which were encircled by its troops. The vaguely worded statement, however, did not make clear how long the routes would remain open.
Сегодня, 5 марта, с 10 часов утра московского времени, российской стороной объявлен режим тишины и открыты гуманитарные коридоры для выхода мирных жителей из городов Мариуполя и Волновахи. Гуманитарные коридоры и маршруты выхода согласованы с украинской стороной.
It was said that the forces had stopped firing to allow safe passage to civilians fleeing fighting, but was continuing its broad offensive in Ukraine, where the capital Kiev came under renewed assault. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian government said civilians will start being evacuated from Mariupol at 9 a.m. Ukrainian time, and the plan was to evacuate around 200,000 people from Mariupol and 15,000 from Volnovakha. In the meantime, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky lashed NATO for ruling out a no-fly zone over his country, saying the West's reluctance to intervene has given Russia a green light to continue bombarding towns and villages. The 9-day offensive has killed and wounded thousands of people and sent more than 1 million people seeking refuge across its borders. Thus, Zelensky said NATO now bore responsibility for the deaths in Ukraine as well. Previously, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg warned that the introduction of a no-fly zone could lead to a full-fledged war in Europe. He said helping Ukraine protect its skies from Russian missiles and warplanes would require its forces to shoot down Russian aircraft, a move that involves many more countries and causing much more human suffering. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday said any country that seeks to impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine will be considered to have entered the conflict by Moscow. On another note, North Korea has fired a suspected ballistic missile on Saturday, continuing this year's record-breaking blitz of weapons tests, with a launch just days before South Korea's presidential election. According to South Korea's military, it had detected a presumed ballistic missile launched into the East Sea from the Sunan area. Additionally, Tokyo also confirmed the launch, saying the missile had flown at a maximum altitude of approximately 550 kilometers and a distance of approximately 300 kilometers. It added the extremely high frequency of Pyongyang's weapons tests this year were a threat to the region and were absolutely unacceptable. In other news, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang pledged on Saturday to advance peaceful growth in relations with Taiwan and reunification, and said his government firmly opposes any separatist activities or foreign interference. Speaking at the opening of the annual meeting of China's parliament, Li said Beijing stands by the One China principle, which states Taiwan is part of China, and added that Chinese on both sides of the Taiwan Strait should come together to advance the great and glorious cause of China's rejuvenation. In response, Taiwan says China should instead focus on addressing the real concerns of its people and promote democracy rather than undermining international rules and order. The majority of Taiwan's citizens have shown no desire in being ruled by autocratic China. China, which claims democratic Taiwan as its own territory, has increased military activity near the island over the past 2 years, responding to what it calls collusion between Taipei and Washington, Taiwan's main international backer and arms supplier. Action from the Malaysian Super League and Japanese J-League. That's sports coming up next. Sports now, the Malaysian Super League. Only one match was played on Saturday night after COVID-19 forced the match between Sri Pahang and Terengganu to be postponed. Malaysian Football League Chief Executive Officer Stuart Ramalingam said they had received a report from Pahang that 20 players and officials in their team have been infected. At the Patanjaya Stadium, PJ City started their Super League campaign with a bang by beating Malacca United 1-0. The Phoenix's new signing, S. Kumaran, made the difference for PJ City as he blasted home in the 43rd minute to earn the home team full points. Still on football, Jubilo Itawa achieved their first win in the season of J1 League after beating Kyoto Sanga 4-1 on Saturday at Sanga Stadium, Kyoto. The hosts in purple were down to 10 men just before the end of the first half as their goalkeeper Naoto Kami Fukumoto made a bad foul against Itawa striker Kenyu Sugimoto. Yuki Otsu opened the account for the visitors in the first half. Yuto Suzuki scored a brace in the second half, and Rio Germain's goal ahead of the full time sealed the victory for Itawa. Peter Utaka scored a goal in the second half, but that was not enough to save the home side. The result means both teams have 4 points after 3 plays, while Jubilo Iwata are on 4th place and Kyoto Sanga on 6th of the J1 League ladder. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at this museum in Guatemala, where selfie fans spark their creativity through colorful portraits. The museum has more than 40 scenarios with visual effects to take extravagant photos such as doll boxes, game rooms, spaces with a view, and many other photographic settings. With that, I'm Raymond Goh. Thank you for your company and have a safe weekend.